Wow, I actually forgot about that whole pattern gimmick. Where did you get that from, anyway? I got it from a 2006 episode of South Park. In fact, that was actually question number 7. What was your reaction to the whole 9/11 thing when it came to South Park? Okay, now, I know for a fact that Obama was the president at the time, or was it George Bush Jr.? No, it was George Bush Jr. who was in the episode. This was a 2007 episode, keep that in mind. That episode was actually pretty ridiculous because, well, I mean, it was supposed to be, in a sense, in honor of the people who died in 9/11, because, I mean, like, in the end of the DVD version of that episode, it clearly says, dedicated to those who died in the 9/11 attacks on September 11, 2001. Now, what I was surprised about was, okay, Cartman. Why the crap does Cartman have to be the guy that has to explain all of this? And second off, why does he believe that Kyle is the reason for 9/11? Okay, that makes no sense. That makes no ducking sense. I cannot understand that. Why would he think his friend and rival is the reason for... Why would he think that he's a terrorist? Why would he think that Kyle's a terrorist? That's just unmelancholy. It's just not cool. That episode also had to do with something about crapping into a urinal. Of course, Stan did that. But still, the episode... personally, my views on the episode... I think the episode is offensive-ish. And I've watched every South Park episode ever made, except for the ones in seasons 10 to 13. But, 10 to 14. Sorry, because they renewed the contract. I was unhappy with basically the way that Cartman had talked about 9/11 in the episode. I just think it was a bad episode. The only thing I really liked was the Kyle and Stan problem about the whole crapping into the urinal problem. But aside from that, the entire Cartman complaining about Kyle being a part of 9/11, that I hated. I hated it. So, yeah. Personally, I would want that episode banned. But I know that people would not want to make a petition to ban South Park because of just one episode. I mean, even the Dead Celebrities episode got worse feedback than the 9/11 episode. Crap, even Hell on Earth 2006 got less reception than both of those episodes combined. But that's for another time. I'll describe Hell on Earth 2006 at another time. Okay, question number 8. FAQ number 8. Do you think that you now have any close friends that... Okay, that's a bad question. Yay. Hooray for tossing out stupid questions. Yay. Okay, what's the next one? Number 9. Oh god, number 9. If you were in the 9/11 attacks, what would you do? And you would have to be on one of the floors that had gotten hit. Okay, so I'll go with the South Towers. That was the one that had collapsed first, I believe, right? Yeah, it was the South Tower that had collapsed first. So, if I was on any of the floors that the plane had crashed into, personally, first off, I'd have to be very vigilant. Second off, I'd have to try to rescue everybody that I can. Third off, I'd have to find the exit way. Now, I know, yes, the jet fuel from the plane had caused the metal to melt a bit and vice versa, causing transportation on some of the stairwells to be impossible. But here's what I would have done. I always wear this strong kind of armor on my body, so either way, my body is well protected from all of this, from fire or whatever. However, due to various complications, I've had to switch armors, but I'll be talking about that later when I do my armor videos in the Rock Meadow profile. But yeah, I would try to rescue as much people as I can, try to save as much data as possible, if I could have. Because, I mean, think of it. When the plane crashed, we only had like 1 or 1.5 hours in order to get out of the place before it collapsed, of course, due to the whole jet fuel melting the thing kind of a situation. And about the burning stairwell problem that had happened to some people, which had caused them to move up to the 105th floors and the roof. Now, a lot of people would think I'm crazy for trying to do this if I was in that situation. I would have to do what everybody calls from Indiana Jones, the leap of faith. I would have to do a long jump in order to see if I can and will reach the other side. Now, I'd have to be very lucky in order to do that. And if I'm a lucky man in order to do it, then God bless me. Here's another form of situation to answer that question, to answer that FAQ number 9. If I was stuck, if I was going into the elevator as the crash happened. Okay, now, for some people that were in the elevator, now, the crash had not really affected the elevator so much, but what had happened was, it had stopped the elevator from being able to go to certain floors. So what would I do in that situation? Personally, I would have to go on the floor that's available, immediately find a stairwell or another elevator that has not been affected at all, get down as quickly as possible, bam, story's over. As for what would have happened if I was in the collapse, which was question number 12, there is no question 11 because we didn't want to do a 9/11 thing. Like, we didn't intentionally want to make a 9/11 reference in this whole problem. So, yeah, number 12, you said if you were in the collapse, like in the building after it collapsed. Personally, I'd have to have some kind of thing on me to prevent myself from being hurt from all the rubble and vice versa. But I would try to climb out as quickly as I can because, I mean, think of it. You only had a few days before you would possibly die of either starvation or infections to wounds or vice versa, etc. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to find a way out. And if I'm injured, well, I cry for help. That's exactly what I do. In fact, I do that anyway. Okay, question number 10. Okay, you couldn't, and this is still part of the situation problems. If you couldn't get out of the building and you needed to make a call, who would you make it to? Okay, now I didn't know a lot of people back in 2001, so what would I have done? I would have called a 911.